All right, we've talked a bit about what the Chrome OS does and how to function through it, but what we're going to take the next few minutes on is looking at the actual Chrome browser. What the entire Chrome OS is built on is on top of the Chrome browser. If you've been using computers for any length of time, you know that you have an internet browser, and you'll hear people say, "Hey, go to the internet or open your internet browser." What they're referring to is usually Internet Explorer, Safari, Firefox, or Chrome. Internet Explorer is your built-in browser for your Windows machine. Safari is your built-in browser for your Mac machines. You can add on browsers to Firefox and Chrome, and then function through those also. Different people like different things. However, if you're using a Chromebook or Chromebox, you're stuck in the Chrome browser. Some people don't like that. One of the few of the places that you may find difficulties in the Chrome browser is if a site is built specifically for Internet Explorer, and this would be older sites that have not been updated in the last 3 or 4 or 5 years. You may find some things that are built only for the Internet Explorer browser. You will have problems getting those to access through Google Chrome. But those things are becoming less and less and less prevalent in the marketplace because Chrome is integrating a lot of different features that allow the Chrome browsers to interpret and display items that were built specifically for Internet Explorer. But usually outside of that, you won't find things that are built specifically for Safari or specifically for Firefox. But there are no other browsers that you can download for a Chromebook or Chromebox. You have to operate inside the Google Chrome world. There are some people who have attempted to make browser knockoffs and put them in the Chrome web store, but they really haven't been very effective in that process. So really you're kind of stuck with the Chrome browser, which is fine once you get to know how it works. But here we go. In the Chrome browser, whenever you open it, you will notice here across the top you have a tab. You're accustomed to using tabs at this point. With any browser, they've gone and operated under tabs so that you can see multiple things open at the same time. You'll notice it says New Tab, and there's a little box here to the right side of the tab that you can click, and it's going to open up new tabs. And you can continue to open tabs until you can't see any more of your screen. So you can just open, and have a ton of new tabs open and have something different operating on each one. Remember, however, that this is considered, or these devices are considered to be very lightweight devices, run very efficient on a low power consumption. So what you're going to see is the more tabs that you have open, the more things that you have operating that you're not currently using, you're going to see that your battery life is going to become less with the more tabs that you have open, and also the resources that are having to be used in order to keep all of those tabs open is going to create problems and just the fluidity of your device and keeping things operating and functioning properly. From there, you're going to see underneath it your back button and your forward button and your refresh button or reload this page button. When you do that, you're going to notice that there's going to be an X that pops up so you can stop it from loading. If something gets stuck and gets where it won't open properly, then you can use your refresh button and keep it rolling that way. All right, next in here, we've talked about your Omnibox, although you will notice there is no home button. Notice there is no home button. We talked about this in a previous video that you can go into your settings menu and then from there you can click here where it says show home button and notice that your home button appears. I usually live with it off. I'm bad about just opening new tabs. Anytime I need to do something, it's Control T and I open a new tab and start typing away, so I don't have to use the mouse a lot to get back to the box to put in what I'm looking for. Also, one little feature that is good to note, let's say that I'm opened up here and I'm looking at some information and I close it and I didn't mean to close that tab. Control-Shift-T, that's Control-Shift-T will open up the most recent tab that I just closed, and I can continue to do the Control-Shift and the letter T over and over and over to keep opening up tabs that I did not mean to close. So then that will allow me. You'll also notice that when you open a web page that it no longer says new tabs, that it has a little icon and then what is on that tab. If you are operating in a Chromebook, then your touch screen, if you use 3 fingers to the left, it'll move from tab to the left, and if you use 3 fingers to the right, it will move from tab to the right, so you don't have to click back and forth. You can just swipe back and forth, and it will allow you to move from one tab to the next. All right, from there, you're going to notice here in the top where the address, where we typed in our address of CNBC, or if you want to go to Yahoo, or if you want to go to Fox News, or if you want to go somewhere like that. So if I want to go into foxnews.com, then I can open it up, and it's going to open my browser and everything, and show me what's going on in the world, and why we need to do things in the world. But while I'm here, I can type in, if I wanted to go Fox News and not actually, hey, I don't know what the web address is for it, so I want to go to Fox News, then I can type it in and push enter, and you're going to then bring up a browser window or a search box. This is called your Omnibox. It's not just for web browsers. It's not just for addresses. It is for any searches that you want to do. And we talked about this in a previous video and how to use your settings. You can go through and tell it whether you want to use Google, Yahoo, Bing, ask if you want to use those to do your searches. By default, it's set to Google, just simply because it's a Google Chrome operating system. So it's set by default to search Google. On the far right side of your Omnibox, you will find that it says bookmark this tab. So if Fox Business is something that I want, and notice here that while I'm putting it in, it's going to start giving me suggestions. Then I can go to Fox Business. I want to look at Fox Business, and I'm going to pull it up. This is something that I want to get to often without having to go to it and having to type it in. I can use the little star button to bookmark the page, and then I can actually categorize my bookmarks into different subfolders if I so want to. Right now I'm not going to bother with it. So I'm going to go back to my home page, and notice if you have a home button, it would get you back there very quickly instead of having to click back. But you'll notice here right underneath the Omnibox is now I have a bookmarks tab. So I can go to my bookmarks, and I can go and click on those bookmarks. If you want those to stay active all the time on every page that you're on, you can go back into settings, and then you can have always show the bookmark bar, and notice that it becomes part of your Omnibox bar, part of your top bar, and it'll hold it in place. I'm not a fan of that, but you may be. That's up to you. Next thing here is you're going to see along on the far right side of your screen, you're going to see your different extensions that are operating inside your Google Chrome browser. Remember, just like on your phone or your tablet, the more things that you have operating at one time, the more things that you have syncing data in the background, the more things that you have that are active in the background, it's going to slow things down because it's using resources. These are using resources. These extensions are active right now. They're waiting for a command, so they're active. So if you see things start slowing down and start getting sluggish and start lagging on you, look and see how many extensions you have active. If you're all the way over halfway across your screen with extensions that you've installed and you have active, you may want to go through and just get rid of some of those. You can right-click and remove from Chrome and to totally get rid of it if it's not something that you're using. If it is something you're using, leave it alone. If it's something that you want to hold on to, but you don't want to keep active all the time, you can use this last thing on the right-hand side, your settings instructions or settings tab. You can go down inside here, go to your more tools, and then look at your extensions, and this will show you all of the different extensions that are currently active on your device. And let's say that Google Play Movies and TV is not something that I want. I don't want to get rid of it completely, but I don't want it running in the background. I can just uncheck it and it will disable it, so it's not using resources. But then if I want to activate it later, everything's still saved on the device. I can just go and re-enable it. If I want to totally get rid of it, I can remove it from Chrome. I can go back and get it later from the Chrome store, but it's going to wipe any data that I had on the physical device. It's going to wipe it away. If you're logged into it, it's not going to erase it because it is in your cloud storage. All right, the other thing that are here in your in your settings, you're going to see a new tab, Control T, a new window, Control N. Your history tab is going to show you all the different places that you've been. Notice here we went to Vital Source, and notice there's a little star by it that says, hey, this is a bookmarked site. Fox Business, Fox News, Stock Market, CNBC, TechSmith. These are some things that I was having to look through in order to get the videos to work right. Had a little hiccup this morning getting the videos working correctly, so we had to go back there and make a little change. You also notice here it says showing history from your signed in devices. If you have multiple devices, you have a Chromebook and a Chromebox, or you have a Chromebook and then you have a phone and you have a tablet, and they're all logged in with the same email address and password, all of the history from those different devices will show up here, and it will tell you which device is using what resources or what websites that it is linking to and pulling that information from. So you'll be able to see here what the history is in all the different devices, and it will sync it into one place so that you can see it. All right, the other things that you're going to see, we already talked about the more tools and extensions, but let's look down. Bookmarks. If you have multiple bookmarks, you can come here to your bookmarks page, and it will show you all your different bookmarks that you have in place. Zoom, this is to zoom in or out of a web page. You can also control and use your minus sign on your keyboard to zoom out, and then control and plus to zoom in. If you need to see something more closely or you need to see more of the screen at one time, you can zoom in or out. The print, we're going to go into the Google Cloud Print later in a completely separate video. We'll look at Google Cloud Print. It can be a little bit of a pain to get Google to print correctly. You just need to make sure it's set up correctly, set up right the first time, but getting it set up can be a little tricky, so we're going to look at that and give it a little bit more detail in its own special video on how to get the print to work. Save page as, you can save it as an HTML, as a PDF, or as a text document. It will save it into your downloads. When we talk about your downloads, you can see here the downloads folder. If I open my downloads, it's going to show me different things, and hey, there's something that was downloaded. So it's a video that we were having problems with, and downloaded it to try to work on it, and ended up just redoing the video because it was more of a pain than it was worth. So if I go into my launcher, the other place I can find my downloads is going into the launcher, all apps, and then under the files. You're going to see here where it says downloads, and look, there's the downloads and the screenshot that we are going to show you in just a second. This was part of that video that we had. This whole video is a redo from this one that was just totally messed up. So here you're going to see under more tools, clear browser data, extensions. If you have problems and you got to clear, you hear this phrase, clear your cache or clear your browsing history in order to get the website to work properly, or clear your cookies. That's where you're going to find it, under clear browsing data. Extensions we looked at, task, and take a screenshot. If there's a page or something you need to get some information off of, you just want to take a picture of it to go back and get it later, you can take a screenshot, and hey, look, it took a screenshot, and I can copy it to the clipboard and paste it somewhere else if I want to. If I'm working on a document and I need to take a screenshot, then I can right there, and it's going to save it in the downloads folder where we just were. Remember, that was in the launcher, all apps, files, and it's going to open in the downloads. The download saves directly to your device. It does not save to the cloud. You can upload into your cloud, but it's going to save it directly to the device. And remember that your Chromebooks have limited storage space. It's not a full terabyte. Usually you're dealing with 16 gigs or 32 gigs, but you can put in an external SD card for more storage space if you need it. So these last four down here, don't mess with them until you get accustomed to using your device, and until you want to get in and start playing around and tweaking things and moving things. Don't mess with those things. That it can get you into trouble and really mess up your device if you get into the developer tools and those things without understanding what you're doing. So we're going to leave those alone, not even go into them or mess with them. In the settings, this is the settings menu that we've looked at before many times. We've pulled up a couple times in this video. This is your settings for your device and how to use it. Okay, the next thing is, this is your Google Plus. If you want to be about you, Google Plus was Google's attempt to go head-to-head with Facebook but it never really panned out. It's still something that's utilized somewhat by businesses, but it was a failed attempt by Google. It won't surprise me if in the next few years they're going to pull the whole program and scrap it and do away with it. You'll find that with Google over time, they'll try stuff, they'll throw it out there. If it doesn't work, then they'll pull it out and throw it away. It does frustrate some people because they're used to using it, but it's such a small minority of people that are using it that they'll just throw it out and try something different. Google Mail, your images here in your launcher, this is the same thing that we're seeing down here in the launcher, just a more compact view of it, of things that are used most often. And then notifications, any notifications that they have, whether it's updates or the Google Now cards. If you're using an Android device and you have Google Now, then this will be kind of the same feature there. And last up here is your email address. If you have multiple email addresses and you're not wanting to log out of one email account on your Chromebook and then log into another one to be able just to view your emails, then you can click here on Add Accounts. So you'd have your primary account, which is the one you logged in with when you first log into your Chromebook, and then you could add an account and add multiple email accounts, and you can have as many as you want as sub accounts. What you would see is this one email here as your primary account, and then you'd have multiple sub accounts. You would click on it and then it would just take you to that email. So from there, that is your basic overview of what the Google Chrome browser will do. We're going to pick up some things from there and move on in future videos and kind of go into more detail on a few things.